That will help out a lot. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, guys. You guys didn't see the first part of that intro, but that's okay. So we have a little Hawaii music playing, but although we are not going to be focusing on Hawaii today, we have a fantastic live stream in store for you guys. I want to see for some reason is Dana, you came through on YouTube, right? I'm wondering what is going on with Facebook here for some reason. There it goes. It just now clicked on. It just now hooked up. Okay. Boy, Facebook is slow today. All right. All right. There's 10, there's 12, there's okay. Now we're coming on. LC, good to see you. Dana, how are you doing? And Kathy Martinez and Mara number 5. That's it. Okay. And without an E, love it that you're here. One of our favorites. Terry, good to see you. You're on Facebook. Okay, yeah, now I'm seeing you guys. Okay. Boy, it was just taking a while. It's taking a while. There's 27 of you and 2 the other side. All right, cool. Very, very good. Well, um, we're not going to talk almost nothing about Hawaii today. Today, our focus is on a really very unique and special subject to me, anyway, because one of my most favorite people is the source of the information. And I've known Abigail for probably, I think, I'm going to say 10 or 12 years. She may be able to correct me on that. Um, but she brings a very, very unique expertise and such a cool personality that delivers that message, and it's just really cool. And hello, Lance, how you doing, dude? Where are you from? Okmulgee? Oh, what's going on? Mr. In Between, how are you doing, sir? And Judy, let's finish up our shout outs while you guys are here. Then I'll finish the intro and we'll get right to it. Michael, good to see you, my friend. And Lisa and Steve, I know you're going to be there in Hawaii very soon. And Martina, Kathy, I'm so happy you're here. Valentini, what a pleasure for you to be here. And she's actually in Hawaii. How about you taking some time off from your beautiful trip in Hawaii to spend it with us? I do appreciate it. Janet, I was hoping to see you as well. Janet Swanson, I mean, and then Godmother, Janet, the heavy-handed wrench moderator tonight. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming on. And Jessica and Jill and Marie. Boy, there's a bunch of you guys on here. I really do appreciate it. So let's just get to it. Let me give you just a very quick intro to someone I find very special and who I lovingly refer to as the angel of death. I know some people don't like that, but I absolutely love it. And it was from the very first day I met her. And I'll just do this intro real quick. I have a real, or I have had in my past a real issue with dying, death, people having illnesses, and that's just how I am. I'm just being very frank about it. And when I met Abigail, um, she was just this light and bubbly and happy and type person. So you think she's going to be like a school teacher or something like whatever. And she's very articulate, very knowledgeable, and you would have no idea that she worked in like hospice. I think that's where it was when I first met her. And my first stupid question was, have you ever seen anyone die? And she said, like, what do you like today, this afternoon? I go, no, ever. She goes, yeah, that's what I do. That's my business. And we kind of went back and forth. I said, so you have seen somebody act, you've watched it happen? Because that was such an anomaly to me. I have never been around someone that's done that. And she was so matter of factly, but she was not like you should feel a certain way about it. You're so dumb, you feel that way, or you should feel bad, you feel that way. The way that she explained it made me start thinking about it in a different way. And it wasn't just in a 20-minute conversation. We went out a bunch of times and we had a lot of great conversations. And it started making me think about, man, that is really cool that you have that perspective, and that you're not a preachy person. You don't say you should do this and this is how you're supposed to act. It was about, these are the possibilities on how you should act. And you kind of figure it out for yourself. And she is like, I know these names may not sound really cool, but she's like a death Sherpa, in my opinion, that she just talks to people about it. And I've seen her talk, not to just me, but other people. And it was just an amazing, fulfilling conversation. And I don't use those types of words very much, and I don't use those types of descriptions very much, but with her, I would. Now, why are we doing this? why am I introducing something as what most people would think is such a horrible thing as death and dying, but it makes living better when you look at dying the way that and passing away, I should say, as some people do. And I know there's some people that know someone who's passed away or is facing an illness or a challenge. This is what this talk is all about. I don't think we're going to cure anything. I don't think we're going to resolve any huge problems, but I think it's going to create a pinhole of an opportunity to where you guys could probably, maybe you talk to Abigail, maybe you don't, maybe you read her book, maybe you don't, but maybe she can give us some insight that will make us feel 2% better about such a horrible, bad subject that is not really that bad and horrible. So let's bring Abigail on. I think she's right there. Let me see. Yes, ma'am. There she is.
Hey, Tony. I'm so glad I get to talk to you and everybody on here.
Oh my goodness. Abigail, Abigail. So I didn't finish saying before I brought this on, but I had not spoken to Abigail for some time.
Mhm.
And just out of the blue, I thought, oh, you know what? I should talk to her. I should reach out to her. And I mean, within literally a matter of 7 to 10 days, I I contacted her, found out she was releasing a book just this coming week. And I started watching some of her TikToks and some of her Instagram posts, and I think they're hilarious. I think she brings a very funny perspective to a very bad subject, and I was just caught up again, and I realized why I cared so much about this girl, and I wanna do the best I can to help her, but help her help you if you guys will allow her to do it. So, Abigail,
Definitely.
let's everybody give her a good aloha, even though we're not in Hawaii. Aloha.
No,
Thank you
hi
for taking your
everybody.
time.
Hi Terry. So nice to
I
see
know
everybody.
I know you're in Stuttgart, Germany, and
Yes.
it's
Hmm.
early morning. So I
Yes.
do appreciate that. Thank
I
you
wouldn't
so
miss
much.
this. I wouldn't miss this. It's been
Thank
so much fun talking to people just on Facebook in the comments. So I've just been really looking forward to seeing everybody here live and, of course, connecting with you. So thank you so much again.
Oh, very good. And guys, I'll tell you this, if you read some of her replies are like, happy and cheerful. That's how she is. You would think that somebody that is in her profession would be like dun dun dun. She'd pull
Uh-oh.
up in like an Adams family car or something like that. But she is such a she that's how she is. That's how she speaks. That's how she is every day. That's why people that know her just, oh, I love Abigail. It kind of makes me sick sometimes, but it's so syrupy all the time about how they like you so much. So, so Abigail, let's get right to it.
Yeah,
I actually want to ask one question that may not be
of
that
course.
right out front, but somebody has said, is she a medium? Does she do seance? It's nothing at all about that. It's not about crystals and seance.
Mhm.
It's none of that kind of stuff, right?
No, it's not.
The,
It's
the,
not.
yeah.
Unless you want it to be. Unless you really want it to be. I'm sorry, I was looking at everybody. It's just so nice. Everyone's so welcoming here. But no, it's totally what you want it to be. And we do have a say in it, even though we feel a big sense of loss of control, especially in this area of our lives, which is normal and healthy, and we can talk about that. So no, I don't. I personally don't do crystals and seances and things like that. I I really just, it's just so nice to talk to you. I just have to say that. I just have to pause and say it's so nice to talk to you. But it really is my goal. What I really want from everybody today is to feel like they get something out of this, whether it's answering specific questions or going over certain things, because and it can be a pretty overwhelming topic, because we all have to deal with it one day. And also, I do want to ask you, is my audio okay?
It's
Is it
perfect.
okay?
Perfect.
Good.
Excellent. Excellent.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I have the first question I have is this,
Mhm.
Abigail. How would you best describe what you do?
So what I did in the last 20 years was work as a staff nurse all the way up into the executive level and working in consultant and also as a entrepreneur in the hospice field and also in the medical field. And what I did as a nurse, took care of patients directly with their families, helped them through very serious illnesses when I worked in the hospital and ICU. And then 15 of the years have been working in hospice and palliative care and really working with people establish goals for their end of life care, and then the actual dying process. And then many of those years also overlapped in working with staff, training physicians at hospitals, nursing facilities, other clinicians. So it's been a really amazing opportunity, not just for me to learn, but also to train other clinicians in how they can feel more confident about taking care of people who are dying. It's a big deal, and we can continue to do better.
Well, what I know you've been doing it for like 20 years, you said.
Mhm.
What is it that made you start where you started? I mean, in the hospice side of it, because I don't know. I guess someone does say, "Hey, I want to be in hospice." I don't know if you get demoted to do that or if you get advanced to do that. But what made you start in that area? I mean, what made you start that?
It's job security, 100% success rate for sure. So, no. But no, you need the humor
I
to
love that.
survive.
I love it.
But I personally, if you ask me personally, I have always been interested a little bit in the humanness of it all, the what kind of things that illness and death does to a person, more than just make them sick and just die, but how they actually can attain healing, even though it may not be physical, but they can heal these other aspects of themselves in the process, even though curative or a cure type of option isn't available. And hospice always spoke to me, especially when I worked in thank you, Lisa. Nice to see you. Especially when I worked in the ICU, I worked with really, really sick people and people who would be seeking treatments after treatments, but not aware of what the other option is. When we're dealing with a declining and or dying body, the treatment has to change in order for it to be effective. And a lot of times people think hospice is throwing your hands up and giving up, but it's much more than that. So we can, of course, address all those different types of aspects of care, among other questions, but that's why, and I love the human aspect of it. I feel like it connects us more than anything. And I feel like nothing levels the playing field more than death. It makes us remember that we're all the
Jeez.
same. It makes us
Yeah.
remember that we're all the same. No one's immune, right, from this dying show. This last
Yeah.
trip we got to take, right? So
Yeah.
nobody's immune from it. But
Yeah.
I want to remind you all that you're all really special because you're all your own individual selves, right? Nobody's been you. Nobody's going to be like you. So everybody on here is special in their unique way, but we're also the same and we're more alike because we deal with this death and dying thing. So we're all human and we're just amazing that way. So yes, you're all very special. I just have to remind everybody that you're special too.
Well,
Sorry.
you're going to I think you can see the comments on the side. If you see a
Mhm.
comment that pops up, because
Mhm.
they'll be very active in asking questions.
And
If they ask it in order, out of order, if you want to answer it and
sure.
stop and pause, feel
Yes.
by all means stop at your show. So let's do that.
Okay.
So we found out what made you start doing this just general category. But let's
Mhm.
fast forward a little bit to where you are right now, where and we're going to go back to the actual application. But why?
Yeah.
What made you? What made you take the steps you took to get where you are right now? Like writing a book is no easy thing. You don't just write it and say, "Oh, let's knock this thing out." So what was it that you were seeing and what you're doing in practical application on a day-to-day basis that made you say, I need to write a book? And then what did you expect to come of writing a book? Although it's just now coming out, so you don't really know what it's going to be. But what do you expect for it to be?
What the reason why I wrote the book is because I saw over and over again in my 20 years, especially the last 15 years in hospice and palliative care, the same issues popped up over and over and over in the hospital, in the nursing facility, at a patient's private home, the same issues. And there's so many to count. And I actually ended up writing the book twice because the first
Mm.
copy of it was way too long. So I really had to condense it to a 31-day type of companion for a person.
I saw that. I like that. I
Mhm.
like that idea that a set time of day. I love that. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, and because we all have somebody that we love, and at some point I use the term caregiver, at some point we're going to be a caregiver, and I just mean that in a very general way, that we're going to be involved in either a part of their illness and or death. And there's so much that we can do on the front end before things start to get chaotic. So I really wanted to create something tangible into 31 days that are pretty digestible. The
Oh, did we lose her?
days.
Did she freeze up?
Nope, I'm here. I'm connected to
Give
my
it a
hard
second.
line. Yep. Can you hear me? Hey, Allison.
Oh, oh, there you go. All right, you
Okay.
dropped out just for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
You
I'm
dropped out
hardline.
just for a
Okay.
second.
Okay,
No, it's
good.
good. We're good. We're good.
Good. So the days are usually quite short. There are a couple days in the book that are a little bit long, but they have to be, so you can take them in pieces. And I really just want to give people tangible tools to make this part of their life easier. It's one of the biggest moments of our lives. It's a moment that is associated with so much emotion, and usually what we put in the bucket of negative emotions. So we have a little bit more control over this period of life than we think. And just on a personal level, Tony, the other reason I did this is because after my 20 years working the medical field, during that time, I actually, and this was not counted in my 20 years of experience, I got really sick in 2021 and I had to take some time off work. It ended up being a full year, even though I fought like heck because I didn't want to
Mhm.
take it, but my body made me do it and was hospitalized and everything. And I wanted personally, on my
Mm.
personal level, something more to come out of the all my years that I dedicated to my work other than just an illness and being on medications the rest of my life. So this is that was a personal reason also for doing it. So
Mhm.
those are my reasons.
Well, let's talk. I was going to do this kind of towards the end, but now that you
Yeah,
brought it up, I mean, who um, who is it that would benefit from a book? Is it someone who is the actual patient, or is that what you call them, the patient or the
yeah,
person passing? So
sure.
do you hand it to the patient and say, read this, or is it me if my wife or father or mother or someone, or do I read it? Who reads the book?
Mhm. This first book, I have a second one that's coming probably that I'm already writing, but
Oh,
this
nice.
book in particular is really for what I call the caregiver, really for that person who has somebody in their life that they love. Now, yes, the person who is dying or sick can also really benefit from it, but I write this to these caregivers because these were people with whom I spent the most time. These are the people that we met immediately and we immediately dove into the most intimate aspects of their lives. And they were the ones juggling how to care for this person that they loved, whether they lived across the country, whether they were taking care of them physically in their home. There's so many aspects to this care. Most of the time, we dealt with the caregivers because the patients themselves were not able to respond at this stage of their life. And there's so much that we can do ahead of time. There's just so much we can do before we end up in a situation with a loved one where we're in the emergency room and we're being pressured to make a decision really quickly. It's too much to bear. So it's better to really do the prep ahead and really start to kind of think about the decisions you're going to make, have the discussions,
Mhm.
the meaningful discussions with your loved one, so that you can do it in a calmer way and a more effective way where you have a clearer mind and can make better decisions that are better for you and your loved one. So yeah, so it's for the
Okay.
person that has a loved one that is sick, going to be sick and or dying. But the person who is sick can also benefit from it, but I wrote this specifically for the caregiver.
Well, wait, as you're saying that, I'm just going to ask you a question because it's
Yeah.
just kind of how I deal with you and I are together.
Mhm.
Why do people why is it so difficult? Why is dying, or actually why is facing the likelihood of death so scary to people? Why do you think that is?
It's I'm just making a note here
Yeah.
on one of the questions. It's a very good question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Oh, I'm so happy to see you here, Kathy. Thank you for being here. Well, it's a really natural response. Our body, our brain, and specifically is trained to protect us. In order for us to have lived as long as we lived, we've been driven to eat number of times a day, right? We're driven to eat several
Right.
times a day. We're driven to drink several times a day. We're driven to reproduce for our species. We're driven to sleep and recover. So it is very, very natural in our own biology to survive. And if you look at animals in the wild, it's a survival show, right? And
Mm.
we're still biologically in there. Now, I have done several posts and talked to people about this fear of death. Some people respond and say no fear. I remember many people, would say no fear. And what I want to just say is maybe you don't have fear, but what I want to say is having a fear of death is very healthy. It's extremely, extremely healthy because that shows me that you have a body that's working to survive, and that's a very healthy thing. And I wouldn't put the pressure on yourself. You can do what you want, but I want to just give you permission, not that you need it from me, but give you permission to just relieve yourself of that pressure to try to fix that fear. Because this fear is
Mm.
biologically programmed within our nervous system. Even though I have seen amazing deaths, wonderful deaths that were peaceful, that were very well managed, very comfortable with whatever loved ones were around, caregivers were around, whatever it was, I still am a little afraid of death because I know that's natural. I'd be lying
You
to you if I said, "Oh, I'm not
you
afraid of
are?
death." Of course, because
Oh
my
wow.
body naturally, and I'll say it in the reference of my body, my nervous system, my brain is afraid of death because my body, our biological bodies, are always going to be afraid of dying. We want to live. That's why when that's why we are driven to do things like eat and drink. We go crazy. I go crazy if I can't eat, if I don't sleep,
Yes, that
you
is the
know?
truth. She's speaking the truth.
Right. And all those things are done eating, sleeping, drinking, reproducing, all those things are done to keep us alive and to keep our species going. It's all a biological thing. We're biological animals. Yes, we've evolved a ton. We've done a great job. Sure. We have computers. We're doing all this cool stuff on the video. We've definitely evolved, but we're still in this biological thing that wants to survive, and its goal is always to survive. So it's totally natural and it's really healthy for you to be afraid of death. And I talk about that. And part of really being able to assuage that fear is to become a little closer to it, have these conversations, normalize this fear, normalize these other types of emotions that you may have: anger, grief, anxiety, just terror sometimes. Really normalize these and learn how to work with all this type of stuff that you're dealing with on the internal spectrum. And
Mhm.
you can hopefully approach it with a little bit more ease and also with a little bit more control and say over how it goes for you or how it goes for your loved one.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
I yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Mhm.
made me ask like three questions
Sure.
now here.
Okay.
I wanna mention a couple things. One, um, Abigail's here to talk to us, and she's doing it actually as because she owes me so many favors anyway, but she's doing it because she does have a book out, but I want to let you guys know that we're going to give away Abigail is going to give away 3 of her signed books, and she'll personalize it for you. So and we'll talk about what that campaign is going to be
Mhm.
tomorrow on another stream. But she's going to give away 3 signed books, but she does phone sessions, and she's going to give away 3 15-minute Zoom calls. Are they, Abigail?
It can be phone calls, it can be Zoom, whatever works for the person, and we can sort those
Okay.
details out for sure. Whatever's best for you. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna give away
Mhm.
3 of those sessions, and then, there's no obligation, it's not a charge,
Mhm.
it's
No.
we'll take care of that, and then there's a couple other that people that whether they win or they don't win, I want them to be able to talk to you because I think that is such an amazing thing for them to be able to do, and, I'm
Mhm.
gonna take care of that, so we'll talk about that later,
Great.
but
Okay.
I just wanna make sure that people are aware of that, so we're gonna give away 3 books and 3, one-on-one sessions with Abigail.
Mhm.
My my question is this, that if let's say I don't have, well, maybe I do have the book, but and I'm not caring about somebody who just passed away. What if someone's passed away a year ago or
Mhm.
2 years ago, and I'm just, I see their picture or think of something about them and it just crushes me almost, probably not naturally. I mean, can't does that book talk about that, or is that something we should talk to you about in a session? How do you deal with that? Because actually, I bring that up. I'm sorry, real quick. I bring that
Yeah.
up because I know of 3 people who are on here right now, or they're going to be on here, who had somebody pass away recently and maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just dominating their life.
Yeah.
What do you say to them?
The
Or
grief is
is that
really
too big of a question?
No, no, no. That's a very valid question to address. I do address it in a couple of the days kind of towards the end of the book because this is a very real part of it. And depending on who you talk to, but they usually say that these medical professionals usually say it's, your grief period is at least a full year or 13 months after that person died. And then they say things maybe like you're in a new normal and things like that. What I want to say is most likely, and it probably feels, I'm guessing it probably feels like your life has changed, and it's going to feel like it's changing forever. And you will expect several things that I do address in the book, and I'm absolutely happy to talk to people about this, especially with their own personal circumstances. But grief can be very complicated depending on other aspects. So depending on what your relationship was with that person, if it was a kind of complicated relationship, if you were estranged for a while and then you got back together recently, depending on what you're dealing with personally in your life, if you have other things that are going on, depending on your own health issues, whatever it is, depending on maybe you right after your loved one died, maybe the first few months were just filled and they were really busy because you were dealing with the real estate, all of the belongings, and you just had no time to think. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, when things quieted down, you're becoming overwhelmed because now your body has quieted down, things have quieted down. Now you're starting to feel all these emotions, and it can feel overwhelming. And sometimes you might hear people say, sometimes the emotion comes in waves. You might have a day that's kind of okay, you're hanging in there, but then you have days where the emotions you open up a cupboard and you feel this wave of sadness, and it really does impact you. And it owns your life. It really does own your life. And what I do cover in some of my aspects of my social media, I didn't go into too much into it in the book because there were so many things to talk about. There's just so much. But the more we can practice working with our emotions and learning our emotions, especially working with a mental health professional, you can learn how to work with your emotions in a way that they don't own you every single day. They might own you for those couple of hours, and that's okay. That can be healthy. But then you learn how to work with them and you learn how to process them. So it's a very type of deep conversation, especially when it comes to grief. It's so personal to people, even though we see, and as a professional, I've seen, kind of the usual life of how grief works for people. It's still a very personal thing. And no one is really ever going to understand what you're going through, but we can work together and really try to connect and see how we can make this work best for you. But I will always say, especially because I am a registered nurse, I always say as a disclaimer, you always really want to make sure, especially with your emotions, you want to, as much as possible, work with a professional, mental health professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't, I'm sure these are questions people are thinking they may not want to say it, but it doesn't seem like death and dying has to be the only people that are helped by things that you talk about, things that you teach, or things that are in your book. It's like, how about someone who is, for example, facing what may or may not be a terminal illness, or just an illness that is going to be really, really rough to get over? I mean, are those types of things that we can talk to you about, or maybe learn from things in your book? Because not, as you know, someone may get a bad diagnosis of an illness that may or may not be a death sentence. What about people who don't die, and how about people who go through those processes, but they're really close to death? I mean, what can you say to people like that?
The first thing I'll say is don't minimize the experience at all, and don't try to pretend that it's better than what it is. One of the healthiest things that we can do is really acknowledge how much it impacts us, not just on a physical level, but on an emotional level, mental level, spiritual, kind of existential distress. All those things are real because we're not just physical things. We have these other aspects to ourselves. So first of all, you can't minimize it at all. And what I would second say is, hopefully before then you do learn, about how you kind of work within your own internal environment, and you learn how to kind of process your emotions. Now, you may not have had the chance to do that, and hopefully you can start to treat these other aspects of yourself, get the medical care, the right medical care that you need, but also get the right emotional care. Part of the reason for writing the book and addressing these things in the fashion that I did is to get your practice and your rehearsals in now, because the more
Oh,
you can
wow.
do that, the more you can do that, then when it actually starts to happen, then you have at least it'll still feel overwhelming. Let's be real here, it'll just still be overwhelming sometimes, but then you kind of train your nervous system, you familiarize yourself with it, and you'll be able to at least maneuver a little bit better when the circumstances happen. So there's so many different parts to kind of go into here and kind of branch off from, but this is a very real thing. And
Mm.
I could go down so many different paths, but it really is important to not minimize it at all.
Mm. Well, I'm reading a question here, and it was actually
Mhm.
right. It was coming right up on what I'm just going to put it on here,
Yeah.
and I'll kind of paraphrase a little bit. What if somebody has, it's not related to Waikiki Wendy Silva, but what if what she's saying, in line with what she's saying, it's not it's not a death in that someone has died and their
Mhm.
body has gone
Mhm.
wherever. It's about them getting so caught up and so lost in mental illness that is as if they are gone from your
Mhm.
life in a
Mm.
capacity that's similar to death. That's grief too, right? I mean, aren't you grieving that person
It's
because
absolutely
you
grief.
can't
And
touch and hold and love and
mhm.
kiss and
It's it's
yeah,
absolutely grief, and I do address this in the book a couple of times because death is not just physical death, right? Death is the
right.
ending of a relationship, a divorce. Death is even when you retire from your career. You know, your identity was maybe so tied to this career, and then now it's that
Yeah.
career is done. And even if you're happy about it, it's still a death, right? It's still a death of something. And so it's an adjustment. So even with these changes that sometimes look good, you get married, you have a kid, there is a death of something in order for something anew to happen. So, feeling grief, even in the good moments, is very
Mhm.
healthy, very normal because it's an adjustment. But yes, when we talk specifically about mental illness, Wendy, or a serious illness, there is a grief process that is really intimate with that. When we look at physical illness, for example, someone with heart disease, they will or you will grieve every time they change. They can no longer walk up the stairs without becoming
Mm.
so short of breath. They can't go to the bathroom by themselves anymore. What does that mean for you as a person who's living with that? For you as a person that has to make sure that you take your medications with you everywhere, where before you could just get your bag and head out the door. Now you got to make sure you have your blood glucose machine thingy that's so annoying that you got to prick yourself with, your blood pressure cuff, and you got all the other stupid things that you take, and that's number one. And then number two, a really a very tough diagnosis to watch. There's so many, but when someone has a degree of dementia, so that or other mental type of or cognitive changes, you see how that person maybe starts to talk a little differently, out of character, right? What's normal for them. One of the things that's really interesting too is sometimes you I've had some examples of children, adult children of parents who have dementia, and maybe they had a very estranged relationship, a very tough relationship. And with these types of cognitive changes, a mother, for example, may become a very different person. So where she was once very tough on her daughter, very dismissive of her daughter, she stops recognizing her daughter and then all of a sudden
Mm.
becomes very sweet to her. So not only does that it complicates the grief for that daughter a lot because the daughter never had the mother that she wanted to have and that she thought she really deserved to have. Then all of a sudden she sees this mother who's caring and loving and sweet to her, calling her sweetie, whatever it is, and being affectionate. And now she knows that she's going to lose that mother very quickly. So you see, does you kind of see how grief can
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
complicated in these instances?
Yeah.
So I put
Oh,
that
for sure.
I kind of get that in there because these are real things, that happen over and over again, particularly when we talk about dementia, or particularly we talk about these cognitive and mental changes. But the cognitive and mental changes, I think, hit a special part in us because especially if someone maybe doesn't have maybe the physical decline, they have these cognitive
Yeah.
changes and decline, and it's a different person. So you're grieving the loss of that person every time you see a change. And it and it
Yeah.
and it wears you down. It can wear you down.
Well, there's something to be said a little bit about uh, an adult who has a mental illness. that you just have to let go of. I think you as a parent or as a sibling or something, that if somebody has a mental illness who ends up being institutionalized or homeless and you just cannot reach them, it's almost as if that grief, I don't want to say it is, but it's almost as if that grief or that situation is worse than death, because it's an ongoing, it's a constant death over 5,
Mhm.
10, 20, 30 years, because
Mhm.
that person may be on the street for 10 years or institutionalized for 20 years or something like that. I mean,
Mhm.
it's almost, you as bad as it may sound, you may sometimes think it would be better if this person died, because there'd have some finality to it. Do you agree, or is that a different kind of a?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And of course, every person's experience with this is different and individual to them. But if you imagine 10 years of somebody just changing and having that slow kind of decline up until their death, when I said it wears on you, that's very real. It breaks you down, and you have physical symptoms, you have emotional symptoms, everything. It's a lot. And this is where I do talk about this in the book, and also I've mentioned it, and I just want to put this in here. To feel a sense of relief when someone has died is okay. It doesn't mean that you're not grieving their loss. It doesn't mean that you didn't love them. Okay. But if you were their caregiver, and I see that some people here, I just missed the person, but someone was a caregiver for someone with dementia. And
Mhm.
when you live with someone, say with dementia, it's 24/7. Just like, when you live with someone or when you have a newborn kid or a toddler, this is a person who is moving around the house. Maybe they're going to the bathroom in different places because they're confused. They try to escape. They are putting things in their mouths. A lot of times people with dementia or other types of cognitive changes have an oral fixation. So they may be eating things that are poisonous that they can't eat. It's a constant 24-hour job. So when that person dies, you may feel relief. And this is good. And we need to normalize this more, just like we want to normalize the fear and that kind of angst that we have about dying, our own death and the death of our
Mhm.
loved ones. It's very healthy to normalize the relief that you may feel when a loved one has died. And again, it doesn't mean that you didn't love them. It doesn't mean that you miss them. You could miss them. You could love them. You could want to hug them and hold them and just love them to pieces. But yes, it's okay to also feel relief. More you can feel more than one emotion at the same time, for sure. So I want to put
Mhm.
that in there. And I mentioned that specifically because it was such a taboo subject for the 20 years when I worked with patients and families. It it took forever for them to even say it, and they felt extremely guilty admitting it. And they would feel like, oh, I'm admitting this horrible thing, which is not horrible. You imagine that you wake up every 2 hours to care for your loved one, and you're still also working full time taking care of the kids. Relief is a really healthy thing to feel.
What would you say? This may be in your book, but maybe it's not.
Yeah,
You can
we
speak
can talk
about it.
about it.
Is what I don't even know if it's. I don't want to say it's these top three tips, but
It's okay.
what would you say are three things that you could say to somebody? Let's say I came to you and say, Abigail, I have
Mhm,
been diagnosed with a horrible disease, and
mhm,
I may get out of it. I may not. It
mhm.
may be a tough fight. But what would you say to me would be the first three things? There may be 30, but what are the first three things you would tell me today if I was just calling you up and telling you that?
I would want to know what you understand of your illness. And
Mhm.
that's just my own part as a nurse brain to know where I need to meet you and then
Yeah.
pick up from there. Because sometimes people, even the medical field, will assume that somebody knows that just because they've been dealing with cancer for a month, a year, that they know a certain amount of information.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case, especially when you're overwhelmed. So I'd want to say, tell me what you understand first. And then I'd want to say, what is most important to you at this time of life? And what is going to be the most important thing to you as things change? And talk about the specific things, what they can look at, and also help them work with their physician on how to do that. We go over that in the book, of course. It's a very long
Mhm.
discussion. And then
Yeah.
and then always, how do we build a plan so that you know that also when you become in a place where you can no longer make those decisions on your own, to ensure that those decisions are carried out. And I
Yeah.
do want to take a quick pause here, because if we do get into
Yeah.
more medical type of stuff, I just want to reiterate a disclaimer that this is not medical advice. This is all for informational
Right.
purposes only. I'm always going to defer to your mental and physician type of professionals. So I always
Yeah.
have to say that.
All right. Good.
Such a good question,
Man, we
though.
have
Such a
some.
good question.
We've been getting some really good questions. I know
Yeah.
you may want to go back through these, and maybe I know
Mhm.
you'll want to go back and maybe answer some of these, some really, really good questions. And if
Mhm.
I'm just putting them up on the screen here, but if any of
Yeah.
those really catch your eye and you want to pause and address it, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Totally. As a
I'm
matter
going
of
to
fact,
kind of go. Yeah. Sorry. Go
go.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm going to look for something while you're doing that. I'm going to look
Yeah.
for a comment.
I'm just kind of starting at the pop. I just have to say, first of all, I think it's really amazing that people are so engaging before this and also during. We're all in this together. We're all going to deal with this together, and it's just so cool, and it just touches my heart. So you guys won my heart. I just really appreciate all of you. Lisa, I
It
think you,
it's it it's crazy.
huh?
This is a Hawaii specific
Hawaii.
group, but yeah, exactly. But you know what's fun? You know what's cool, Abigail, is that
Mhm.
something that really makes this group really different and really special. Me, of course, first, number one, but more so, more so people that
That's just like a known
more
thing.
so
We got it. It's assumed.
it's that people will share things within our the chats, the forums, the live streams, and people get to where they know what your travel plans are, what you like and don't like, and where you're going to
Mhm.
go, what you like to do, and it's like a very slow burn in getting to know a bunch of people from a lot of different walks of life,
Yeah.
and I think it gets people. It drops their guard to be more welcoming to other people, and I think it's great. So a lot of these people are, they really are quote friends with one another. I mean, some people have met up in Hawaii, they met up in other places, they have little side chats, they always try to get a picture of me, things like that. They try and share little intimate secrets like that. But
Mhm.
this one guy, I know this is a long question here, but can you take a look at that real quick?
Yeah. Let's see. Steve. Hi, Steve. Thank you for being here. So, yes, your father, okay, died when you're 12 years. That's so young. So, you lost this huge chunk of your childhood and of growing up. And that really is a huge impact. Yes. Okay, hold on. I have my mom and stepfather as well. You lost your mother and stepfather? Oh, yes, as well. Okay. All right. Why don't you cry? I don't know how to answer this. Okay. It doesn't affect me like that first. So, and this is based on my professional experience, but when something happens at a young age, as children, especially until we reach adulthood, we have so many, I don't know if you remember back in school, we have all these different phases that we go through of development. And a child ideally, and a young adult ideally, needs to go through those phases and be able to explore these different parts of themselves as they develop. When a child or a young kid has their childhood interrupted with something like trauma, whether it was from, say, an abusive parent or losing a parent, and many other types of instances, maybe they were homeless or something, their parent was homeless, it interrupts that process. And then, like you said, you either become a parentified child to a mother or a parent who is dealing with drug addiction, for example, or you end up becoming a person that's kind of a caretaker, a peacemaker in the home. And that shuts off a part of your development, and you end up becoming hardened, like you said, because now you had to realize that you were in a world where you had to really be on the defense. And again, this is where I always want to defer to the mental health professionals that deal with your own specific situations, because everyone's is so different. But it's not unusual for people to become a little distant from what's happening inside themselves. So part of your healing, whether it's working with a professional therapist, counselor, whoever it may be, is to connect with what's happening inside of you. And I'm not going to tell you to take a deep breath. I'm not going to tell you to do some woo-woo thing, dance around naked. I'm not going to tell you to do any of that stuff. But what I'm going to tell you is that part of the process is to get back in contact with what's happening on an internal level. And what you'll start to see too, and do this with professional guidance, obviously, what you'll start to see too is you may seem like you're getting worse. A lot of people feel like, oh, I left my therapist or I left my trainer and I'm getting worse. I feel like I'm getting worse. They're getting worse because all of a sudden they're getting into contact with this sadness, with whatever pain it was that they really need to deal with. And you don't have to go back to the exact moment that you think you got this thing. It depends. Every person's a little different. There are so many different type of modalities. So you really want to try and find the one that works for you. But it's going to seem worse. But if you're doing the right healing, you're going to come into contact with that internal environment, and you're going to start to process these types of things that you haven't processed yet because it wasn't safe for you. You see? We need to have a certain level of sense of safety in order for us to get in there. And sometimes it takes a while to actually kind of crack that egg open.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate
Well
you,
said.
Steve. I really appreciate you sharing that, because I can only imagine there's so much more, and how maybe it impacted your life and maybe your relationships. And I just really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Steve.
A lot of you guys have shared some good things. I'm reading all these
Yeah.
comments going through. I really appreciate
Mhm.
that. So Abigail, what would you say is, I'll do an easy one first. What would you say is the best part of doing what you do?
Oh, it's the human stuff. It's all that human crap.
I knew you would say that.
It's all the human stuff. It's
Yeah.
totally cool. And also normalizing how, say, aging is, the changes in our body, the stuff that happens to our body, the different ways that it can look, the smells, the things that come out of tubes. I mean, all these different things. And for me personally, it has really, I feel like it's always grounded me. And I think that's why I kind of was drawn to it. But I see people as people. And even when there's a person in bed who maybe either can't move for whatever reason, you learn to see the person, and despite what's happening with their body, regardless of what age they are. And I feel like it just it makes us more intimate with each other and reminds us that there is always this person, whether they're in a bed dying at the very last moments, there is that person that always deserves to be honored, dignified, and remembered up until the very, very, not just the last moments, but even beyond that. So that's what I love the most. People write there are these own tapestries that they write. So that's why I really mean I'm not just trying to be all, fluffy and squishy on the inside, but I really mean it when I say is that people in their own individuality, they're special. We're all the same because we're all do the dead thing, but we're all really special. And it's amazing to be in communication and connection with people. That's the stuff that I really love, and the human part.
I knew you were saying, you all used to say that phrase all the time, human part. All right, here's probably the more difficult one, and the
Sure.
difficult is part of the question.
Yeah.
What is the most difficult part of what it is that you do? What's the most difficult, most challenging?
I think it's the missed opportunities. It's not the when the person dies or seeing the death and obviously seeing the pain. It's the missed opportunities, knowing that this could have been done better. Because when you've seen it so many times, and when you've worked in the field, you know that things can do it better. But maybe a physician wasn't upfront with somebody about their options. They didn't talk to them about palliative care. And I know we didn't talk about these types of things. We didn't talk about them about hospice care. They brought it on way, way too late. They started these types of care way too late. And there's a problem with that. Palliative care and hospice, they're two different types of care, but they're still kind of very much intertwined. They're still often started too late, and people miss out on all the benefits. When Michelle, oh, Wendy, crying, go ahead and cry and that's good. That's healthy. I just noticed that on the comments. I wish I could give you guys hugs. It's so healthy. It's so healthy to do that. Thank you for being here and sharing that. I really mean that. It's the missed opportunities. That's the hardest part.
Okay.
Yeah. But we can do better. We can do better for sure. Which is why we're talking about this stuff.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I mean, guys, how about let's give her some aloha's, man. Isn't that wonderful for to be sharing this. I told you guys, I told you she was going to be great. I told you she was going to kill this thing. Such a great departure from a regular Hawaii live stream. I'm so glad
This
you
is the
guys
last trip you're
are here
planning.
for it.
So yes, let's get it
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah,
Get the
exactly.
damn thing right, you guys.
Yeah. Um, let's talk a minute about, because your book is going to be your book, and I think I'm not trying to downplay it, but your book it's at your 31-day plan, and I know you're writing the
Mhm.
second book. But to me, I think I would read the book anyway, but I think the cool part would be you one-on-one. So
Mhm.
what could I or one of the members expect if they're going to get either a 50, I assume you have longer than a 15-minute session. You could do an hour long, or can you
Mhm.
do once a week, or can you do those, or
I
what's your setup for the sessions anyway?
right now I only have 15 minutes available only because I have quite a few things happening. But what I will do, whoever contacts me, or if you ever tell me who gets the 3 sessions, we'll work it out in a way where if you look at my schedule, if it's very limited availability for you, I really will try to work with people. Right now I am doing 15 minutes. If there is a need to do more, if you have more questions or you really are dealing with certain things, I'm happy to expand. And to be
Okay.
very frank, I tend to go over a little bit anyway, which is why I have such few sessions available, because I really
Yeah.
want to dedicate time, and I really want to, my goal is to I really like to over deliver. I really want to make sure you leave with some clarity, most importantly, and leave with something from that. How to talk to your
Mm.
doctor, for example, how to, what medications, how to get some clarity on what's going on, blah, 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 all those types of things.
Right.
Again, not medical advice, but just for you to feel a little bit stronger and more powerful in what's in your own dignity or the dignity of your loved one.
Mm.
Yeah.
What can they expect on a 15-minute call that
Mhm.
would be like top three things, or what are a couple things they could expect to get from the session with you?
That's a really good question, Tony. And there's so much to cover that if you're looking for just general stuff, then I can go into general things based on my experience. But usually people have a question, and I'm looking at the questions here and I feel bad. I really want to be able to get to all of them. I don't know how realistic that is in my, world up here in my, over here in Germany.
Yeah.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can do anything, but, um,
You
but
need
it,
you need to come to one of our meetups in Hawaii. How about that?
oh my gosh, when I go, I'm definitely talking to you. But usually people have something specific that they want to address. And so it's going to be individualized to you. If you really are kind of at a loss and like, what do I really need to know? Then I do have a plan of basic, let's start from with the very elementary stuff and then branch on from there,
Okay.
depending on what your comfort level is, depending on what your knowledge level is. It's always going to be tailored to you. But yes, I do have a general kind of, let's start at the ABCs, type of thing.
Oh, all right. Very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Um, so what's next with getting off the sessions and
Mhm.
more on the book now? What's
Yeah.
next for the book? Because as I understand it, it's like number one in your category. Is that right, on Amazon?
Yeah. My publisher told me to say, and I'm not supposed to, if she told me, she would just slap me in the face if she could. But I'm technically
Is
an
she
Amazon.
watching? Is she
No,
watching
she's not.
probably?
But technically, it's an Amazon bestseller right now. But it's a very small category, so I don't know if that really means anything special. But thank you. But
Yeah.
it's launching on the 26th of August, which is a week from this coming Tuesday.
Okay.
But I do have it available on my website, diebetterbook.com. So it's just diebetterbook.com. And if you
Mhm.
go there, you can get the Kindle now for 99 cents on the 27th of August,
Oh,
next
that's good.
Wednesday. I am committed to making this available for people, which is really what I want to do. On the 27th of August, it does go up to $4.99. So if for any of you who read Kindle, or other people in your life that has a Kindle, it's 99 cents for about another 10 days. So you can hop on there and get it. If you are going to get the paperback book, if you want to wait until launch date, that does kind of help, move me a little bit more with the bestseller book. But it really, I just care that you get the information that you need, and that's really most
Yeah.
important to me. And you can always DM me. We have Facebook, we've got YouTube, we've got Instagram. There's so many different ways. You can just go to my website, and I always have a little message thing that pops up on the first page. You can just go right in there and just send me a message, just say hi.
Yeah.
I just love connecting with you all. So use me as a resource, because I got a chance to work these 20 years. So I've had a chance to just learn so many things, seen the
Yeah.
mistakes, everything. So people just deserve this information. So just use me.
That's very cool. And I know you've worked on this a long time. I mean,
Mhm.
I've known you a long time. You've been working
Yeah.
at you know. So I've been putting up your Nurse Abigail
Yeah. Mhm.
Abigail D'Agostino, your
Yeah.
email.
Thank you.
If what is the best way? What is your preferred way? Because you'll get people like Lance will try and contact you on 10 different things, and just he's Australian, so just
Right.
make a little note.
I think he messaged earlier
Yeah.
on the post, which was so cool. I think he was
Yeah.
saying he was going to be
Lance
at
is
work or
a
something.
favorite. He's a favorite for sure.
So cool. The people here are so cool. I really am okay with any of it. And
Okay.
I usually am pretty responsive, usually within the day. If for some reason I'm not, it's either because maybe it didn't go through, or maybe there was something kind of funky with it. Sometimes I need to vet some people out, but you know, I'm getting to know the names here, so feel free to message
Okay,
me.
good.
Facebook is perfectly fine. Instagram, again, or going to my website. The Nurse Abigail D is the same as diebetterbook.com. So diebetterbook.com may be a little easier to remember if you want to go right to my website.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever's
All
easiest.
right, cool.
Really, whatever's easiest.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. And guys, Abigail's been so busy doing so many other things, but she's not really focused so much on social media. So one of the things we're going to do for the giveaway for we'll start off with 3 books. I may get some more, and if you guys like it, I want to know after the stream, did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it boring, not good information, what have you? If you like it, we'll get some more books. But we want to make her Facebook blow up, because you gangsters are the demographic, from women and men from 30 to 65. One, you have the resources, but you're also the type of in that time frame in your life that you're having older parents. Maybe you're an older parent. So these are types of things that can help you out. But those types of people love Facebook. So let's blow her Facebook up, and
Oh, thanks.
we're going to come up with a tag for I think Janet may have already done it, but I'm going to find out the direct tag for your book. So we're going to get you as many followers as we possibly can, and we'll do
Oh,
a restream of this live stream for you.
that's really nice. That it just means the world to me. What I'm already
Oh, of
just
course.
so super touched that I get to be part of this community. It was so much fun just being part of the live yesterday, and I can't wait
Yeah.
till you're back in Hawaii so I can come along with you and watch.
Yeah.
But really, the most important thing is, and if I said something today and it wasn't clear, because there's still so many questions we haven't answered.
None.
I,
You're
I,
right.
I
There's
I
so
really,
many.
I really hate walking away and not answering things. And so if I said something that wasn't clear, or you really have a burning question, please reach out, because it's important that you walk away with something. If you
Yeah.
don't, then that's a problem. This time
Yeah.
needs to be valuable for you. So please do that. Yeah.
I have already actually spoken with someone on the ground about doing maybe you don't do these. Maybe I should have asked you in
That's okay.
private before I asked you
Just
now,
ask me now.
but let me ask you now. So yeah, why not? Why do that? Would you do a workshop in Hawaii? Let's say you can. Would you do like do you do workshops, or would you do one for us
I've done
in Hawaii?
workshops my whole professional career. I'll do
I know
whatever.
you have.
Yes,
That was
if I to go to Hawaii, yes. Yes.
So what
Yes.
would you guys like to do that? Let's say maybe we have maybe one of our meetups that we're supposed to be having, or you guys are trying to threaten to make me have one. So what would you guys think about maybe having a 1-day meetup with Abigail, and have her just do a workshop, not all day, but a couple hours there on the beach or something close to the beach? Would you guys like that or no? Type in a 1 if you'd like to do that, if that's something and we would live stream it for you guys who wouldn't come, like Lance, who will never be
Oh
in
yeah.
Hawaii ever
Mhm.
again. Yeah, Lance doesn't come to Hawaii. He says he's going to, but he never does. But we'll live stream it for him. So is that something you'd like to do, Abigail? Would you do that?
I would absolutely do it. My goal is just to make it whatever is going to be most effective for people. So, and
Yeah.
one at a time. So whatever is most effective. And there is something to be said about doing things in person. And we can we can fill out like a questionnaire and really come up with the most burning questions, most burning type of topics. So
Oh,
it's
that's a
it's
good idea.
really it's really catered to this community.
Yeah.
And also working, and we can do weird stuff. We don't have to do weird stuff. We can make it fun. We can make it whatever it is. So yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
I
You
may
got
not
it.
have mentioned that. I may not have mentioned that the snitch and Waikiki Wendy Silva will be there. So there will definitely be weird stuff, whether it's planned or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that I know, guys, I'm blowing past a lot of stuff, but I want to ask this. So we talked about your sessions, talk about your book. You mentioned you're already doing a second book. Is that right? And if you are, what's that about?
This one's more, it's going to be it's going to be much shorter, and it's speaking to the person, just, everybody, just the person who is thinking about death in their mind. And it's a
Mhm.
little bit different. It's a little bit more kind of on the character. There's a little character that I kind of created on death, on social media.
I
And I
love
also,
that, by the way. Can I say that? I'm telling you guys, if you have not already watched her, she does a character death that is absolutely hilarious. I mean, the one
thanks.
we did, oh, it's long distance, oh my God. And then when you talked about dating death, I
Why
take
death is still single. Yes.
yeah,
I
exactly.
have so
I
much fun
take
making them.
Drop
It's
Dead
just fun to make
Gorgeous.
them.
Oh my God. And she is hilarious. And it's the bringing kind of humor to death and that type of thing. So back to your book, the second book.
Yeah.
What's this second book going to do that this first one didn't do?
I think it's going to be a little more interactive and kind of a little bit more of a story where the death person is kind of this death person, this death character I talked about is kind of doing a one-on-one with you in a weird way. So I'm still
Yeah.
working through it. It's probably going to be some time. I really want to focus on this one right now. And my goal is just to make sure people get some clarity and feel like they got some power of what's going on at this end of life. But yes, that'll be my second one. So, because
Excellent.
yeah, that'll
Excellent.
be fun. But thanks for asking.
So let me just put some more stuff in you and on your plate.
Yeah.
Are you planning to do like a podcast or like a consistent, like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every Friday, or once a week, or are you planning on doing that?
So I do have a podcast, and I do have a YouTube channel. They cover this. They're both the same, but I have people that prefer to watch the video because sometimes I do put notes and stuff on the screen, and some people
Yeah.
prefer to use a podcast. So those come out twice a month, and I've been doing that since I think last year. I personally just took a little break on social media for
Mm,
part of this summer because we were gearing up with the launch date and stuff like that with the book. But basically I'm back on social media, but I'm still continuing the podcast, still continuing the YouTube channel. And if there's somewhere else that you think it might be more helpful or easier for you, I'm very open to feedback. Let me know what works. Let me know what didn't work. I don't care about having my feelings hurt. It's more important that when you're dedicating your time to even coming on here, it's important that you get something out of it. So you tell me if something didn't speak to you or it was confusing or whatever it is that you need, because I just want you all, as many as people as possible, to get the information they need and walk away with something, especially because this has to deal with such a big part of our lives. So,
well, talk about your podcast for really quickly, if you could.
mhm.
What is it? What's the name of it? Where can we see it specifically? And we'll try and put the link. If the link's not in here, and if Janet didn't put it in the link in the comments
Janet's
here,
all over
I'll
it.
make sure it happens.
I love it.
Janet's an absolute
She
killer.
is, she
You
is
and her
on it.
would hit it off. Yeah.
Can't wait to talk to her.
She's mean as a snake though, but
Wonderful.
uh
It's cool. It's cool. So, if you do go to diebetterbook.com or the nurseabigailD.com, if you've scrolled all the way to the bottom, you can connect to the Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube channel. It's all in there. And
Oh, okay.
so,
All right.
yeah, it's all in there. The social media posts are very short for the shorter attention span. The podcast, YouTube they go into a little depth. This summer I have just a little snack series, so they're a little bit shorter. But I do have many that are quite longer in format, so you'll see all of it. Yeah, and I cover a lot of the topics I do cover are a little bit different than the book, because I don't want you to have to
Yeah.
get the book and then it's the same type of stuff on YouTube. It may
Oh,
obviously it will overlap to a degree because
right.
it's, there's so much that's related, but the stuff in the book is in the book for a reason, because I felt that it was going to be more useful in the book. So
I see.
it goes into depth more, and then so you should find a much more different type of information and key topics in that YouTube and podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the podcast, is it just you, or do you bring on guests? Is it more of a monologue? What's it like?
What I have right now is it's just me, but I have had interviews already, and I
Mm,
have been asked to do interviews, so I'll probably post those on there too. I just have a little bit of a log to get through before I start posting the interviews. Yeah.
okay.
And
All
if you
right.
see
Very
someone,
good.
or if someone on here wants to be on it, I am all for all types of stuff, weird stuff
Well,
included. So
you'll get
just
all
let me
types of
know.
stuff here. Did I mention you'll get all types of people here? Did I mention we have
Cool.
Australians that
That is
watch?
so cool.
I have something now more personal that I
Yeah.
want to ask you.
Yeah.
Um, and it may sound like such a dumb thing, but
There's no dumb question.
Lance, do you want to tee one up for her? You want to ask her a question? um, how does your book deal with like pets? Pets dying and stuff. How is that different from? Because I can tell you this. Me, I don't like many people, but my pets are like it. How do you? And I know this is more a rhetorical question because
Yeah.
you helped me with Oliver and what have you. But
Mhm.
how is it different? I mean, how is grieving for a pet different and how should we look at it differently?
I don't know if it's that much different. I think, because you
Mm,
brought this up yesterday, and I really loved what
yeah,
everyone was saying. And I think we were echoing the same thing. Many times, most times, pets are a part of our family. And especially for someone who doesn't have uh, like physical, like human children, these pets, we put those emotions are very much tied into the pet relationship that we have. And kids or no kids, it can be the same, but pets are part of our family.
yeah,
Kids are not. And so when you lose a pet, when a pet gets sick, that grief is real, and we can't minimize it either. So many of the
yeah,
principles are just as important. I do address pets in the preparation part, because how we prepare for death and how we ensure that we have a really good death, part of it is ensuring that we have certain things taken care of, right? So making sure that our pets are taking our, there's a plan for them, or whether maybe you have a garden or something like that, or a home. So just like when you deal with your real estate, all these types of things in your life, these really important aspects of our lives deserve the attention. It's a part of the family. So
yeah,
yes, Janet, a loss is a loss, and it doesn't matter what it is, it's still a loss. Absolutely, it's very real. It's very real. And sometimes, you know, we can't say which one's harder or not. It just depends on the person. But the death of a pet is a very deep type of pain that we can feel. Yeah.
yeah.
So don't minimize it.
Um,
Don't minimize it.
I know you only had an hour and
Yeah.
we're already taking you over that, so I appreciate you
Okay.
staying.
No problem.
Guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments now. And if something, we'll address these. And if you got, I'm going to ask you two things, guys. If you have a question, put it in the comments. And if it's something that's material, I'll put it up. It's not, if I don't put it up, it's not because it's not important. It's just because we've either covered it or we'll do it on something else, do it on another stream. But I would like to know if you guys want to have Abigail back for another follow-up stream within the next month, type in a 1, please. If you want her to come on, type in a 1. Let's let her see if we think she hit it out of the park or not.
You guys have
And then
such good
while
questions.
you're there, I'm sorry, what's that?
I'm
If you
looking.
see it,
So
if you
many
see
good
anything, just
questions.
jump on it. I
Yeah,
know.
I just saw someone, and this is, I want to talk about two things. So first is a question about why does it happen so many times that when, say, you're sitting vigil for a loved one who's dying, and then the second
Mm.
you walk out of the room, they die? And I have to tell you, and I do address this in the book, but I have to tell you, this happened all the time, not just in hospice, but also when I worked in the ICU. And sometimes, and I will tell you, and I think Allison, Nurse Allison, I know she's here in
Yes,
the
I did
post
not know that
previous.
so many out. Yeah, so many
She's
cool.
amazing. She
Yeah,
said she wrote this response back, and I was just wow. She was just so articulate, Allison. I just loved it,
yeah,
and it's so nice to have you here. But she said it perfectly well, that hearing is the last sense to go. That's something we know in hospice, and we know for a number of reasons. I can get into it one day, but hearing is the last sense to go. So I do talk about how you actually work with that, because people, I really have just come to believe that people decide when they're going to die, especially when it's like a parent or a parent-like type of relationship. When their kid walks out of the room or just before their kid gets back, they die
mhm.
because they're the parent to the very end, is what I say. So this is why it's really
Oh,
important
wow.
to talk to your pets if they're dying, talk to your loved one if they're dying. Hey, mom, I'm coming. I'm here now, and I'm going to stay for another hour. I'll let you know when I get up and go to the bathroom or go get some lunch. Let them know when you leave. Let them know when you're going to be back. I have seen the most just unusual cases where I would tell my patient, I talk to my patients all the time, even though they didn't respond back, because hearing is the last sense to go. They've had these studies and documented type of things that happen when people, like, say, we're under CPR. They can still hear what's going on, even though they don't respond. But I would tell them, hey, your son is coming from overseas and he'll be here in 30 minutes. And he just got off the plane. They would die
Yeah.
right before the son walked in, and vice versa.
Oof.
So and the reason I bring this up is because there's so much guilt tied to not being there at the time of your loved one's death. People think, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I've been there the entire time for the last 3 days in a row, and then my loved one dies at night without anybody there. And there's so much to
Oh,
work through that. So I want to address that too. The other thing I want to address, because it kind of talks about a kind of a general thing for us, but I've also seen in my professional career that how we live is a lot like how we die. And I bring this up because if you have dealt with, and I've worked with so many veterans, people who are survivors of the Holocaust, for example, that have dealt with really serious trauma, or in the police force, whatever it may be. If they didn't deal with their stuff, it follows you at the very end of your life. When our
mm,
physical type of structure and strength goes away, that trauma does come back, and you see it in the death experience. You see it in end of life agitation. You see it in all these sorts of types of symptoms. So that message to you is to say that you really do want to deal with this stuff now. Deal with your own healing, deal with your own relationships, deal with all this stuff now. Start to really educate yourself now, whether it's just, with me or whoever does that really does connect with you and you really feel like you're going to learn from. Pick whoever it is that's going to help you the best. But by all means, do it, because you really deserve to have a really special and meaningful death of your loved ones, and also for yourself. So I really want that for all of you. You all deserve it.
wow, really well said. I have one last question for you. If you
Yeah.
guys have any other questions for Abigail, go ahead and put it in there. Abigail, here's my question.
Yeah.
What is the this is probably such a big question, but what is the one thing that you want people to take away from this talk? And I know you spent more time than what you're supposed to. I appreciate that. We just touched on the tip of what it is that you offer. But what is the one thing you want people to take from this, and what can you leave with us to maybe help us without even getting your book or talking to you again or being
Yeah.
on the next stream? Is there anything you could give us to take away?
Yeah, I have no expectation. You don't have to get the book. You don't have to reach out to me later, whatever it is. The most important thing is that you find a way to have some agency over this part of your life, because for sure, right? It's happening, right? It's going to
Yeah.
happen. Really annoying, but it's going to happen. And I want you to be able to make the most informed decisions about this aspect of your life, or your life of your loved one. And you deserve to make the most informed decisions. So in order to do that, you have to inform yourself, and you have to inform yourself with the right people. if it's not me, if I'm not the one that, if I don't hit it for you, then you find somebody else, or tell me and I can help you find somebody else, because I know it's still kind of a niche thing. This whole, even though we're doing it, it's not really talked about a lot, which is kind of ironic. But I want you to make the most informed decisions. And so you do have to inform yourself. And I just want to remind you that when you do, you will have more agency over what happens to you at the end of life. And by all means, my goodness, you deserve it.
Wow. Abigail, thank you. I told you I was
Thank
only
you
going
guys.
to
I mean, there's so many
get an
beautiful
hour.
people. Oh
I
my gosh.
know. There's
Cheryl,
so many
oh my
good
gosh.
questions and stuff.
Oh, Cheryl.
Just real quick, is there any other questions? I mean, any other? I don't want to keep dragging you out, but
No, but you can ask something more.
yeah.
It's okay. It's quiet here in Stuttgart, Germany. Everyone's asleep, so I'm good.
Yeah.
So if there's anything else.
Yeah. Well, I know I know that people want to have you back for a follow-up. Would you say like in the next month, next 30 days, we could do a follow-up with you, Abigail? Your book will have already been out. There will be
Mhm.
people who have received the book that they won from you. So maybe we can get some people to maybe join the panel and ask you questions directly. Would you do that? Because I can bring on like 5 other people and maybe ask you questions directly.
I'm happy to do it. I would say probably if it's okay, like for the fall of this year, we
Yeah.
could, if we could do if we could do the fall, maybe like October. I know it's a little bit away,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I'm available. I don't want to have to cancel on last minute. I hate doing that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I don't do that, but that's because I like to plan. So
Yeah,
I really don't
exactly.
want to,
I know.
Steve,
Believe
Lisa,
me,
Jennifer.
guys,
Oh
she
my
does.
gosh.
She
Yeah.
does.
So I'd be happy to do
Take
it
it from
sometime in
me.
October, November, December. Yeah. Last
Okay,
quarter.
that'd be great. So
Absolutely.
guys,
Be an
let's
honor.
do that. Let's
Thanks, Joe.
blow her up on social media. Let's get her book. We'll get those 3 sessions out. I'll get those 3 books taken care of. And then let's plan on having like a panel with Abigail. Let tentatively say in October, and then maybe get her out here or out there into Hawaii. Maybe do a weekend with us. That'd be fantastic.
Oh my gosh, are you
Fantastic.
kidding? Would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no pressure. But again, my intention here is to make sure that you all walk out of here with something, you get something out of this, whether it's now or when we contact and we're in communication later. So that's the most
All
important
right.
part. But I'm just honored that you allowed me to be here. So thanks again, Tony. And thank you, everybody, all you beautiful people, really cool people.
All right. I appreciate it. Love you, Abigail.
Love you too.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.